Well, hello and welcome to this tutorial on how to achieve the film look. My name is Ignacio and let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to be using Adobe Premiere Pro 2019 and I already have the two clips that I want to use. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and select them and drag the clip to my timeline, and I'll do the same thing with the second clip. So there you go. Once we have our clips on our timeline, the next thing we're going to do is create an adjustment layer. If you don't know how, you just right click on your project or where you have your clips, and new item and adjustment layer. Make sure that the settings of the adjustment layer are the same as your clips. After that, you just click OK. I'm going to change the name of the adjustment layer to LUT. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing. We're going to be using LUTs for this, but it's not the only thing that we're going to be using. I'm going to cut this here at the junction, and the next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to go to Lumetri Color and we're going to apply a LUT, but we're going to apply it to the adjustment layer first. You can select between all the LUTs that you have already in the Lumetri Color tab. I like to use the ARRI LUT for this one. Once we select it, make sure that it's selected on your adjustment layer and not on your clip. That is very important. Now that you have the LUT applied to your adjustment layer, you are going to move on to your clip, and we're going to be working on that. We're going to go back to the Lumetri Color tab, and the first thing we're going to do is adjust the exposure. As you can see, these flowers here are a little overexposed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do minus 0.5 on the exposure, and that's going to bring the exposure a little down. However, these flowers are still too bright, so we're going to move on to working on the highlights. We're going to lower that until we have enough definition on the flowers. For this particular clip, we had to come all the way down to minus 100 on the highlights, but that brought up a lot of definition on them. Let's go ahead and move on to the shadows, and it seems like we're going to have to lower the shadows a little bit too, but not as much as the highlights. So I guess minus 25 will work just fine for the shadows. There you go. Now you have a little more definition, and your shadows are dark and your highlights are light, which is what we want. We want that definition, but we also want that separation as well. We're going to up the contrast until we are satisfied with the result, and I guess about 30 will be fine. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Now those flowers they still need a little more definition, so I'm gonna lower the whites just a tiny bit. Minus 15 will do, and there you go. Now we have well-defined whites and well-defined dark areas. That's pretty much all you need to do for a bright scene. As you can see, the difference between the original footage, which is this, and the applied correction. Make sure that there's a difference between your shadows and your highlights, and you're going to be tweaking every scene differently, like I'm going to show you with this. Now we have a different scene here. This one is not as bright. It's actually kind of gloomy. We're going to use the same input LUT, which is the ARRI Universal DCI. In this case, we're going to use the ARRI Universal HD. You should have that by default on Adobe Premiere Pro. And make sure to apply it to the adjustment layer and not to the clip itself. Now we're going to do the exact same thing as we did with the flowers. We're going to make sure that there's definition and there's white and dark, that those two are well defined. So we're going to start with exposure. This one doesn't need that much. It's not pretty overexposed. However, we're going to lower the exposure a little bit, and that is going to bring out definition between the blacks and the whites. Highlights, they need to be worked on a little bit, maybe minus 45 in this case. And in this case, the blacks or the shadows, they need to be bumped up a little bit, about 25, I'll say. There you go. So there's enough definition on the lightest areas and the darkest areas on this one. Here's the brightest point on this scene. So we're going to lower the whites a little bit just to make sure that we have enough definition on this foamy thing, whatever it is. And probably minus 30. That'll work. So now we have our scene, and it's well defined, everything, the shadows and the highlights. In this case, we're gonna cool down the scene a little bit, since it's a snowy scene. A good color correction, and that gives you that nice film look, as opposed as this more video looking thing. And that's pretty much it. As you can see, it's very easy to just give that nice look to any of your scenes. You just need to work your basic correction. You can of course apply other looks. Anyways, if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section. And I just want to remind you that we have a contest going on. It's called the Filmmakers Without Funding Contest, and you can check out the website. I will leave a link in the description, as well as the other videos. Anyways, this is it, and thank you for watching. I hope you have an excellent day.